Hi guys, AzureAce here and I'm back with another Dragon Ball Super episode discussion. In the last episode, episode 44, Monaka arrived at Capsule Corp to deliver a package to Bulma. However, in the meantime, Trunks and Goten get stuck in the back of Monaka's truck. As Monaka, Trunks and Goten arrived on planet Potafu, we meet Potaju, a native to planet Potafu, who is charged with the responsibility of protecting the superhuman water. However, all is not as it seems as Grill and his band of misfits attack Potaju, Monaka, Goten and Trunks and steal the water for themselves, only for it actually to be a purple goo that takes over a person's body and takes their power for their own. Vegeta and Jaco are sent to pick Goten and Trunks up by Bulma, whereupon the goo takes its next victim, Vegeta, and stops his flow of ki, rendering him helpless, whereupon we come to episode 45. Vegeta Disappears, the Menace of Copy-Vegeta. This episode was really disappointing. In fact, no, honestly I have mixed feelings about this episode. It had its positives and it had its negatives, but this episode was, for the most part, disappointing. It's a major step down from the filler episodes I've had so far in what I'm going to call the Potafu arc from now on. And it's especially a step down from the previous episode, episode 44, but without further ado, let's get into the episode discussion. Episode 45 starts exactly where episode 44 left off, with Copy-Vegeta and Copy-Grill standing over Trunks, Goten, Vegeta, Potaju, Monaka and Jaco, where Copy-Vegeta is essentially mocking Vegeta because he took his powers. Vegeta, being the prideful person he is, he does not believe that, and he tries to attack him with a Gallic gun. However, no ki comes out obviously because Copy-Vegeta stole his powers, and then Copy-Vegeta does the exact same, only it actually works and he does the Gallic gun above the characters, and it goes pretty much around the planet. You would expect that. He's stolen every power from Vegeta, so I mean technically he should actually be able to go Super Saiyan Blue, but it might still be the fact that maybe he's like Ginyu, he takes the powers but he doesn't know how to control them. Who knows really, but Copy-Grill praises Copy-Vegeta for the power that he's showing them, and he does tell him to absorb Trunks' power. However, he looks like he kind of hesitates to do so, which does imply that he not only steals Vegeta's power, but he might also possibly take his memories or his feelings towards other characters as well. Just a thing to think about as we get more information on that later in the video. He goes to absorb the rest of the characters, but Jaco intervenes and shoots the kind of goo tentacle things that they use to absorb people with his blaster, allowing Trunks and Goten to fly away with Potaju, Monaka and Vegeta. Jaco is left with a copy, so attempt to steal Jaco's powers as well. However, he's fortunately able to escape from them just as they're about to do it. We cut back to Goten, Trunks and the others, and it's about time that we got an explanation as to what this superhuman water actually is from Potaju himself. The superhuman water is not actually superhuman water, it's a substance called Comicin, and it was created by the inhabitants of planet Potafu as a self-defense mechanism. They created this as the race who inhabited planet Potafu were so weak they couldn't defend themselves. This Comicin was designed to steal away the powers of whoever tried to invade the planet. The Comicin can absorb an infinite amount of people's power, so technically Comicin could, go and absorb Beerus, Goku and Vegeta, and they can basically take over the universe, But it also stole away not only the power of the invaders on planet Potafu, but it also stole away their evil intentions as well, which turned the Comicin into a kind of sentient being that has its own will, and it's an evil will. And because of those evil intentions, it just kept on going, absorbing more and more people just so that it could gain more power, which resulted in the rumour of the superhuman water, multiplying your power hundreds fold. But the inhabitants of planet Potafu did sacrifice their lives to seal away the Comicin from not only the taking over planet Potafu, but the universe as a whole. But Potaju being the only survivor, stealing away the Comicin, and he has protected it for over 100 years. With Grill opening the seal of planet Potafu, the Comicin was let out again. Vegeta, he has two questions. You'd obviously have questions after an explanation like this. The first is, why did it hesitate to absorb Trunks? And this is where we get the kind of follow-up to that question I left earlier in the video. Potaju explains that they must seal the water away no matter what, because he also confirms that the reason why Copy-Vegeta hesitates to absorb Trunks' power is that he not only has Vegeta's power, but he also has the spirit of Vegeta as well. And as a saying, the last thing Vegeta would do is want to gain power by taking help from others or stealing other people's powers. Vegeta's second question is, what happens to a person if their power is stolen? Portaju then explains how dire and severe the situation they are in actually is, as the body of the person who had their power absorbed will start to disappear in around 3 to 5 minutes after being absorbed, and that actually cuts to showing Grill's gang disappearing in front of the seal. They all kind of puff into kind of purple smoke, and that means that in order for Vegeta's body and powers to safely return, they will essentially have to beat an entity who is as powerful as Vegeta in 3 to 5 minutes. So the only person really you would think, or the only people really you would think that have the possible chance of ever beating them would be Goku, Beerus and Whis, but obviously we saw in, I think it was episode 43, I'm pretty sure it was either 43 or 44, Whis is away doing something, so presumably Beerus might also be away doing something, so they couldn't do anything, but that kind of leaves Goku, Copy Grill and Copy-Vegeta, find them all in this big open space, whereupon we finally get the return of one of my favourite characters in the series, as Goten and Trunks perform the fusion dance and fuse into the one and only Gotenks. Gotenks, he gets right into the fight. He starts firing very fast punches, very fast kicks at Copy-Vegeta, and it's doing absolutely nothing. Copy-Vegeta is just dodging them for fun. It's not anything towards him, because you would kind of expect that, but it's kind of weird at the same time, because surely base form Vegeta is not that strong, especially against Gotenks, but Gotenks then starts to kind of realise, I'm not doing a thing. He starts powering up in front of Monaka, who's absolutely terrified by this, and as expected, he eventually turns into Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, who we haven't seen since the Buu Saga, which is nice to see him return. However, he looks, he looks a lot worse looking than what he looked like in the Buu Saga. He also looks like he's losing a bit of that cocky attitude that makes Gotenks such a lovable character in the first place, especially Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. And I'm sorry, but I must call this out. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks can't do a thing to base form Vegeta. So, let me get this straight. You're telling me Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is weaker than base form Vegeta? No, I'm calling major bullshit on that. That would put base form Vegeta on a level that surpasses even Kid Buu, which is just surely that's just terrible writing there, but at this point, Vegeta's already starting to fade away, which is pointed by Jacko. Grill demands Vegeta to absorb Gotenks' power while it lasts, but Vegeta doesn't want to, and he rocks Gotenks with an uppercut into the gut. We cut to see Goku still training on King Kai's planet, and as he fires a Kamehameha at himself, and he announces that he's finally back to his best, meaning he does not have this delayed ki onset syndrome anymore from using the Super God Kaioken against Hito during the God of Destruction or Universal Tournament. And he starts eating, but King Kai senses Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks fighting. Goku does as well, but he also senses Vegeta's ki, and he thinks that they're fighting, so we then cut back, and Gotenks is getting, or Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks is getting absolutely annihilated by base form Vegeta. And the animation to this part of the fight, I honestly think it's just really sloppy. I don't know if the animators were like pushed for time for this episode. Maybe they're just trying to gather all the funds, because in 2 weeks the future Trunks arc will start, so maybe they're just trying to pull all the funds for that. But this episode is just poorly animated, and I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as episode 5, we don't talk about that, but it's very bad in comparison to the otherwise very good animation we've had ever since like episode 35, ever since the Piccolo vs Frost fight. So on that score, I'm really disappointed with Toei's animation in this episode. Now, something that annoys me as another inconsistency in this episode, like the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks versus base form Vegeta thing, is that Gotenks gets beat down and smashed into the ground, and they defuse back into Goten and Trunks. But that only lasts like 5 minutes. What? Why did they defuse? Can they not control Super Saiyan 3 anymore as in a fused state? Did they like get beat up so badly that it forced them to defuse? Like, it honestly annoys me. Gotenks is yet again in Dragon Ball Super being very poorly executed, and it absolutely pains me to say that. They did it pretty good in the Battle of Gods arc. They absolutely just terrible execution in the Resurrection F arc. We never even got Gotenks. He defused as soon as he went up to Frieza, and it's just the execution for Gotenks has just been really poor in Dragon Ball Super. They're really just turning him into a gag character, and I do not like that. He was a gag character in the Buu saga, but he was a good character as well. They executed him perfectly in the Buu saga. Copy-Vegeta is about to blast Trunks and Goten. However, as always, Goku swoops in using instant transmission and he stops him from doing so. Both Vegeta say Kakaroto at the same time almost, and Goku, being as dumb as he is so confused because both Vegetas were there. He's like, you're a purple Vegeta and you're a transparent Vegeta, what's going on? And I said it happened, and honestly, it's one of the best parts of this episode because it's just kind of quite funny, to be honest. But Copy Grill again demands Copy Vegeta to absorb Goku's power. However, he refuses as it's Goku, and we know the rivalry they have going on, and it's actually a nice little homage, kind of, back to how Majin Vegeta also refused to take orders from Babidi early in the Buu saga, so that's a nice kind of allusion to that, I guess. But Copy Grill tries to force him, and he denies as he just smacks Grill away despite being like electrocuted. I don't know, looks like he's getting electrocuted for it, but Goku and Vegeta start fighting again, or well, Goku and Copy Vegeta, and another thing pops up that annoys me yet again. Really, this episode is just full of little annoyances to me that just made me not like this episode at all, really. But why is Goku fighting in his base form? Surely, considering how dire the situation is, and how Vegeta outright told Goku that he has 3 minutes to kill Copy Vegeta, and he's not doing anything, he's in base form. Why? Why not just go into Super Saiyan Blue? It makes no sense! Come on! The inconsistencies in this episode are horrible! But he starts fighting in his base form, they both power up, and the episode ends there. My overall judgments on this episode, again, very conflicted feelings about this episode. Like I've said already, it was nice seeing the return of Gotenks despite how badly he was executed in this episode, and I have no idea why the fusion lasted like 5 minutes or something like that. I mean, surely he lasted 5 minutes, Vegeta should be well gone now. Plus the fact that Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks was about as much use against Copy Vegeta, presumably in base form, as what Yamcha was against the Cybermen, which absolutely annoyed me as well. However, the history behind Potafu was actually really interesting, and it added a nice little bit of story and a nice little bit of characterization behind Potaju and Planet Potafu, and it just kind of gave a little bit of backstory to the otherwise unknown superhuman water or Comison. I mean, Toei could have completely left this story and explanation out, but I mean, they didn't, so you know what, props to them on that. I mean, it's really nice that we get a little bit of backstory on this so we're not completely clueless. It made this otherwise utterly boring episode somewhat interesting, and on that score, this episode was so boring. I found myself skipping like little tiny segments of the episode just to see it all. I've never been so bored of watching a Dragon Ball episode in my life. But episode 5 was more entertaining than this, just due to the amount of laughs I got out of watching the beyond god-awful animation. The episode was very slow, the animation was for the most part sloppy, so I'm sorry, but this episode was a real letdown for me. But with the overall judgments out of the way, it's time to get into the previews with episode 46 entitled Goku vs Copy Vegeta, Who Will Prevail? we get into the previews, and really this episode looks like it's just going to be completely all about Goku versus Copy-Vegeta. There's not really much I can highlight in this other than at some point it looks like the real Vegeta is going to try and intervene in the fight, and it looks like Grill turns back into Goo and he tries to take over Goten, Trunks, Monaka, Potasio and Jacko, but really there's not much of note here. We don't see Goku go past base form at any point, which again annoys me. He should be going into Super Saiyan Blue given how dire the situation is, but really, what can you do? Hopefully this is much better than this episode, but I'm not holding high hopes for it. It is the climax of the Potafu arc, as a week after that we get episode 47 and we finally get the official beginning of the Future Trunks arc. But nevertheless, if you guys like this video, please leave a like, comment your thoughts. Did you find this episode as sloppy and boring as I did? What do you think they could have done to improve this episode? Share this amongst your friends and subscribe to join the Azure Army today. Thank you.